the history of pizza. The world's favorite slice. Have you ever taken a bite of pizza and thought, who came up with this perfect combination of bread, sauce, and cheese? Pizza's story starts in the ancient world. Civilizations like the Greeks, Egyptians, and Persians were already baking flatbreads topped with oils, herbs, and sometimes cheese. But the modern pizza we know today was born in Naples, Italy, during the late 1700s. In the crowded streets of Naples, the poor needed cheap, fast, and tasty food. Enter the pizza flatbread with tomatoes, often looked down upon by the upper class. At the time, tomatoes were thought to be poisonous in Europe. But Neapolitan street vendors knew better. They experimented with garlic, oil, basil, and mozzarella cheese crafted from the milk of water buffalo. This wasn't just food, it was art. The most famous story comes from 1889, when Queen Margherita of Savoy visited Naples. She was served a pizza with the colors of the Italian flag: red tomato, white mozzarella, and green basil. She loved it. That pizza was named after her, the Pizza Margherita. From Italy, pizza began traveling the world, especially after World War II. Returning American soldiers brought back their new favorite food, and pizzerias began popping up across the U.S. today. Pizza is everywhere. New York thin crust, Chicago deep dish, Neapolitan wood-fired. It's a global phenomenon worth over $140 billion a year. And yet, every time you grab a slice, you're tasting a piece of history that goes back thousands of years. Chocolate, the sweet journey from sacred ritual to candy bar chocolate. The ultimate comfort food, heartbreak remedy, and birthday essential. But its story begins not in a candy store, but in the jungles of Central America. More than 3,000 years ago, the Olmec civilization in present-day Mexico was among the first to discover the power of the cacao bean. Later, the Maya and Aztecs turned cacao into a sacred drink called zocolatl, a bitter, spicy beverage often mixed with chili and water. It was believed to bring strength, wisdom, and connection to the gods. In Aztec culture, cacao beans were so valuable they were used as currency. Imagine paying your rent in chocolate. When Spanish conquistadors arrived in the 1500s, they brought cacao back to Europe. Sugar and milk were added, transforming the once bitter potion into something sweet and luxurious. Soon, chocolate became the drink of the rich and royal. But chocolate didn't become a solid bar until the 19th century, when technology allowed for cacao butter to be separated, refined, and molded. In 1847, Joseph Fry created the first modern chocolate bar in England. Later, Swiss pioneers like Rodolphe Lindt and Daniel Peter invented milk chocolate and the smooth texture we love today. Fast forward to now, chocolate is a $100 billion industry. From Snickers to Swiss truffles, from hot cocoa to dark artisanal barzits, woven into celebrations, holidays, heartbreaks, and cravings. Yet behind every sweet bite is a story of ancient rituals, colonization, invention, and global love. Chocolate didn't just become popular, it became part of who we are. Video games. From Pong to a billion-dollar universe, think of a world where your favorite game doesn't exist. No Mario, no Fortnite, no Minecraft. It all had to start somewhere. The history of video games dates back, not to the 1980s, but to 1958, when physicist William Higginbotham created a simple tennis game using an oscilloscope. It was called Tennis 4-2. A decade later, Space War. Computer space emerged, laying the groundwork for a revolution. But the first real breakout hit came in 1972 Pong, created by Atari. It was just two paddles and a dot, but it sparked a cultural explosion. Arcades began to fill with kids battling high scores and chasing pixelated dreams. The late 70s and early 80s gave us classics like Space Invaders, Donkey Kong, and Pac-Man. These weren't just games, they were events. Game consoles like the Atari 2600 brought gaming into living rooms. Then came the crash of 1983. Too many bad games flooded the market, and people lost interest. But in 1985, one man in red overalls revived it all. Mario, Nintendo's Super Mario Bros., redefined home gaming. It introduced levels, secrets, characters, and fun that never ended. Fast forward to the 90s, Sega versus Nintendo, PlayStation enters, 3D gaming is born. The 2000s gave us Halo, GTA, Call of Duty, and eventually mobile games that reached billions. Today, gaming is no longer just entertainment, it's a global lifestyle. Esports, VR, Twitch streaming, cloud gaming, it's an industry worth over $200 billion and growing. From arcades to online worlds, video games didn't just evolve. They changed how we play, connect, and tell stories. Cars, the invention that redefined freedom. For millions of us, a car isn't just a vehicle. It's freedom, it's identity, it's part of life. But how did we go from horses to horsepower? In 1885, a German inventor named Carl Benz built what is widely considered the first automobile powered by a gasoline engine. Looked more like a motorized tricycle than a car. A year later, his wife Bertha Benz secretly took the car on a 60-mile road trip, making her the first driver in history. Her journey proved that cars weren't just experimental, they were usable. But cars were still rare and expensive. That changed with Henry Ford. In 1908, he released the Model T, and more importantly, he revolutionized production with the assembly line. Suddenly, cars became affordable to the masses. By the 1920s, roads were being paved, gas stations appeared, and car culture was born. Road trips, drive-in movies, the suburbs, dating, work commutes, it's all shaped by four wheels. Later, design evolved from the fins of the 1950s to muscle cars of the 70s, to fuel efficiency in the 2000s. Now, we stand at a new frontier: electric vehicles. Companies like Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid are shaping the future. The car isn't just a machine anymore. It's software on wheels. From steam engines to smart dashboards, cars drove the 20th century forward, and they're still driving the future. The internet, the invention that changed everything. It's hard to imagine life without the internet. It's where we work, talk, watch, learn, buy, and exist. But this digital superhighway has a very analog beginning. It all started in the 1960s. During the Cold War, the U.S. government funded a project called ARPANET, designed to keep communication intact even if one part of the network was destroyed. In 1969, ARPANET connected 4 computers between universities. It was the first network to send a message ironically. The system crashed after 2 letters, L and O. In the 80s, new protocols like TCP, IP standardized data transmission, allowing different systems to talk to each other. Then came the game changer, the World Wide Web. Invented by Tim Berners-Lee in 1989. It added hyperlinks, browsers, and websites. Suddenly, the internet wasn't just for scientists, it was for everyone. The 1990s exploded with dial-up tones and comm booms. Email became the new letter. Search engines replaced encyclopedias. And then came social media, video streaming, cloud computing, changing every part of life. Today, over 5 billion people use the internet. It's not a tool anymore, it's a world in itself. And to think, it all began with a defense project and a crashed message that never finished typing login. Jeans from workwear to worldwide fashion, every closet has a pair. Every age group wears them. But jeans didn't start on fashion runways, they started in the gold mines. In the mid-1800s, during the California Gold Rush, miners needed pants that could handle rugged conditions. Levi Strauss, a German immigrant, teamed up with tailor Jacob Davis to reinforce pants with copper rivets, especially at the stress points. In 1873, they patented their creation. Blue jeans were born. Originally made from Dyneema tough cotton fabric dyed with indigo, these pants were strictly for laborers. Cowboys, railroad workers, mechanics. They were tough, functional, and working class. But in the 1950s, everything changed. James Dean wore jeans and rebelled without a cause. Suddenly, they weren't just pants, they were rebellion. Through the decades, jeans became a mirror of the times. Bell-bottoms in the 70s, acid wash in the 80s, baggy in the 90s, skinny in the 2000s. From punk rock to hip-hop to high-fashion jeans were everywhere. Today, they're a $90 billion global industry. They've walked the runway in Paris, but they've also been ripped at skate parks. Durable, versatile, iconic jeans are history you can wear. It's emojis. The faces that changed how we feel online. Can you imagine texting without emojis? No smiles, no hearts, no crying laughing face. Just cold, flat words. Emojis transformed how we express emotion in a digital world, but their story is more surprising than you might think. The idea of symbolic digital emotion goes back to the 1980s. When computer geeks used punctuation to show feelings, for happy, for sad, These were the first emoticons born out of necessity. But in 1999, a Japanese artist named Shigetaka Kurita created the world's first real emojistiny 12 by 12 pixel images, representing weather, food, technology, and emotions for a Japanese mobile internet service called iMode. There were only 176 of them at first. They were cute, functional, and instantly beloved in Japan. For years, emojis remained a Japanese quirk. But as smartphones went global, Apple added emoji support to iPhones in 2011 and the world went emoji crazy. Today, the Unicode Consortium standardizes emojis globally, approving new icons each year. We now have thousands representing gender, culture, flags, emotions, animals, foods, and even social movements. In 2015, the face with tears of joy emoji was named Oxford Dictionary S-word of the era symbol, became a word. Emojis are more than decoration. They're a universal language, bridging tone and emotion in a world of screens. From hearts to poop to facepalms, they've reshaped how we speak without speaking. Football, the world's most beloved game. It's more than a game. It's passion, identity, and life. But where did football or soccer actually begin? The roots of kicking a ball go back over 2,000 years. Ancient Chinese soldiers played a game called kuju, kicking a leather ball into a net using only their feet. The Greeks and Romans had similar games. But the version we recognize today was born in England in the 1800s. Back then, football was a wild mess of rules. Some used hands, some didn't. There was no standard format. In 1863, the Football Association was formed in England and rules were codified. No hands, goals. Offside, what we now call association football or soccer. The game spread like wildfire through British colonies, Africa, South America, Asia, and became deeply rooted in local cultures. By the 20th century, football was unstoppable. In 1930, the first FIFA World Cup was held in Uruguay. By Ija Wubai, a young took the world by storm. Then came Maradona. Then Messi. Then Ronaldo. Today, football is played in every corner of the planet. The World Cup draws over 3.5 billion viewers, and kids everywhere dream of glory on the pitch. From dusty streets to billion-dollar stadiums, football's beauty is in its simplicity, in its power to unite. Selfies. The evolution of self-expression before smartphones and front-facing cameras. Taking a selfie wasn't just tricky, it was nearly impossible. But the desire to capture ourselves has existed for centuries. The first known selfie? It was taken in 1839 by an American photographer named Robert Cornelius. Using a daguerreotype camera, he removed the lens cap, ran into frame, and posed for over a minute. Painters, too, have been creating selfies for ages. Think Rembrandt or Frida Kahlo. These self-portraits weren't vanity, they were expressions of identity and emotion. Fast forward to the 2000s, front-facing cameras arrived. Suddenly we were looking at ourselves more than ever. The word selfie was first recorded in 2002 in an Australian online forum, and by 2013 it was Oxford's word of the year. Celebrities, influencers, tourists all embraced the trend. The selfie stick became a symbol of modern narcissism, or empowerment, depending on your perspective. And then came filters, Snapchat, Instagram, and AI-generated beauty. Selfies became both art and obsession. Critics say selfies fuel vanity. Supporters say they empower expression, body positivity, and control over one's image. Whichever side you're on, one thing's clear. Selfies didn't start with smartphones, but smartphones made the selfie a global phenomenon. It's ice cream, the frozen treat with a royal past. It's the ultimate treat for summer, breakups, and birthdays, but ice cream's path to your cone is surprisingly royal. The origins of ice cream go back thousands of years. In ancient China, people enjoyed a frozen mixture of milk and rice. Persian nobility chilled grape juice with snow in underground chambers called yakshals. But the idea of sweet frozen desserts made with milk took off during the Renaissance in Italy and France. Royal courts experimented with snow, ice cream, and fruit. These early versions of ice cream were rare and incredibly expensive only for the elite. In 1660, a Sicilian chef named Francesco Procopio opened one of the first in Paris to serve frozen desserts to the public. It became a hit. When ice houses and hand-cranked freezers were invented in the 18th and 19th centuries, ice cream became more accessible. By the 1900s, ice cream parlors popped up across Europe and America. And in 1904, at the St. Louis World's Fair, the first ice cream cone was born. Fast forward, Ben & Jerry's, Haagen-Dazs, soft serve, gelato, dairy-free, rolled, nitrogen frozen, it's an ever-evolving delight. But behind every scoop is a long royal history that once made frozen cream a luxury for kings. Smartphones, the pocket-sized supercomputer, it's in your hand right now, connects you to the world. It wakes you up, guides your route, and holds your memories. But this magical little device? Mobile phone is only about 2 decades old. The journey began with mobile phones in the 1980s, big, heavy bricks used just for calling. But in 1992, IBM released the first real smartphone, the IBM Simon. It had a touchscreen, email, and even apps, but it was bulky and ahead of its time. Then came the Pompelet and BlackBerry in the late 90s and early 2000s. Loved by business users for their keyboards and messaging, but in 2007, everything changed. Steve Jobs walked on stage and introduced the iPhone, an iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator all in one. No buttons in phone, just a screen, just your fingers. The future was born. Soon, Android joined the race. Apps exploded, cameras improved. 3G became 4G, then 5G. Now we carry supercomputers in our pockets with more power than NASA had during the moon landing. From snake games to facial recognition, from texts to TikTok, smartphones are the defining device of our era. And they started as just a way to make a call. Birthdays. The celebration of you candles. Cake. Singing balloons. Every year. We celebrate another trip around the sun, but where did birthday traditions come from? The idea of marking one's birthday goes back to ancient Egypt, but it wasn't about ordinary people. It celebrated the birthdays of pharaohs' transformations into gods. The ancient Greeks added something magical. Candles. They made moon-shaped cakes to honor Artemis, goddess of the moon, and lit them with candles to make them glow. The Romans were the first to celebrate birthdays for common men, but not women. That came centuries later. In medieval Europe, birthdays were linked to superstition. People believed evil spirits were attracted to someone on their birthday, so gatherings and noise were used to protect them. Hello, parties! The idea of birthday cakes, as we know them, took off in 18th century Germany, where children celebrated Kinderfest with layered cakes and one candle for each year of life. By the 20th century, it all came together. Balloons, cakes, singing, candles, wishes, a global celebration of life. Today, birthdays are digital, 2 notifications, emojis, filters, and Zoom parties. But at their heart, they're still about one thing: you. Movies, the magic of moving pictures movies. They thrill us, scare us, make us cry, and bring entire worlds to life. But before blockbusters and streaming, cinema began as a flickering illusion. In the late 1800s, inventors were racing to bring still photos to life. One of the earliest breakthroughs came in 1891, when Thomas Edison and William Dixon developed the kinetoscope, a peephole device that showed short films. But it was the brothers in France who truly stunned audiences. In 1895, they projected a short film of a train arriving at a station. Legend says people screamed and ducked, thinking it would leap off the screen. From these early experiments, the silent film era was born. In the 1910s and 20s, stars like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton rose to fame, telling stories without a single spoken word. Then in 1927, the game changed forever with The Jazz Singer, the first feature-length talkie. As sound took over, the golden age of Hollywood began. Studios like MGM and Paramount produced epics, romances, and musicals that defined generations. Then came color, then widescreen, and CGI. Today we stream movies on phones, binge trilogies on demand, and explore universes in 3D. But the heart of movies hasn't changed. It's still about telling stories that move us, one frame at a time.